And thank you, everyone. Happy New Year. Bonne année tout le monde. I hope you had a well-rested holiday season. I'm so happy to be here to share a topic that is pretty popular amongst different diet fads or lifestyle changes. And it's intermittent fasting and ketogenic diet. So le jeûne intermittent et aussi le diète kétogène. These are things that people talk about, and they're methods that are completely different, but it's also used in combination as well for maximum efficiency. So I'll tell you the difference, and you can choose to try one or the other or both at the same time. And they have fairly similar goals. The goal is basically to reduce insulin resistance as a primary goal. So reduce the sugar that goes into your blood that then uses insulin too much. And when insulin is used too much, you can become resistant. And that means that it's not as efficient anymore. And the blood the blood sugar that's raised, every time you eat, you get a little spike of insulin. Every time you snack, that could cause a lot of fat storage. If you are not able to use that sugar, it'll be brought into your liver and stored there for future. And that becomes, could be as a result of fatty liver. It could cause other issues in the liver, but it could also cause belly fat. So you can go to my website here if you want to have more tips on immune health. This is where you can put your name and email address to get a free guide. I just want to start off with a quick medical disclaimer to say that this is purely information only. It's not medical advice. I'm not promoting one diet versus another. I'm just sharing information, and you're more than welcome to share your own personal experience if you've tried intermittent fasting or the ketogenic diet. Also, if you have any type of chronic illness or if you're taking any medication, please consult your doctor, your healthcare professional before making any kind of diet changes or adding any supplements. And so before we start, I'm just curious to know who here has tried the intermittent fasting. You can put into the chat box. Let me know if you've done it, if you've enjoyed it, if you've seen any results. And then I'll move on to ketogenic diet as the second phase of this presentation. So I'd love to see who's tried it. What were your thoughts? Yeah, somebody here has said, I've tried it. Awesome. Okay. Me too. I have tried it on and off. Okay. Linda says I've tried it on and off. Okay. So for those of you who don't know what it is, basically it's taking periods of time to not eat, to fast, giving your digestive system a break during times where you don't eat at all. So SOOE says, me too, I saw a big difference in my energy, and that's great. Good to know. So think about when you wake up, your first meal is breakfast, right? And the word breakfast just means breaking the fast. So during the whole night, you're fasting. So the idea is then pushing that breaking of the fast a little bit later into the day so that you have a longer period of fasting. Because when you're sleeping, typically it could be 8 hours, 7-8 hours. But now you're trying to increase that period even during the waking hours. Some people like to do it once or twice a week. Some people do it every day. Some people take the whole day to fast. So it's not really fixed. It's really up to you to see how comfortable you are at fasting. And later I'll explain to you what are the benefits of fasting. What does it do to your body? Another very popular one is OMAD, which is 1 meal a day. So basically the whole day you're fasting, you're drinking water, you're drinking herbal teas, you're staying hydrated, but then you just condense all the calories into a meal. That's something that some people enjoy doing. But as a beginner, as someone who wants to ease into this, I really think that doing a 12-hour fast to start with would be very simple. Think about having your first bite at 8 a.m. and having your last bite at 8 p.m. So that's like a 12-hour fast. Now, le plus populaire, it's 16 hours a day. So very often you'll hear 16-8. And the idea is starting your first bite at 12, for example, and ending at 8 p.m. And then you have a full 16 hours of not eating. And the idea then is just to not have your typical breakfast and not snack at night after dinner. So that's an easy way to sort of approach it. To look at the benefits behind fasting in general, when you don't eat, you're going to help with healing some digestive problems. You're giving your digestive system a break, and it could actually start to digest things in your intestinal lining that might not be needed. So think about spring cleaning. When you have a break, you can go and attack the attics or the closets or those corners that you normally don't clean. So if you take away a normal function, now you're freeing up that resource and you can actually get more cleaning out of it. So the digestive system can actually clean up a little bit during the time when you're fasting. The other thing is that when you're not eating, you're not spiking insulin. So the insulin will then become a little bit more efficient when it does come out, and your cells will respond better. And this is people, who are pre-diabetic, who are, watching their sugar, their blood sugar. It would be a good way to kind of, not snack or not have carbs or not have sweets. And fasting is also another way to lower the insulin. The other thing that it does is it would reduce inflammation. And si vous avez des questions, s'il vous plaît, n'hésitez pas à mettre dans la boîte de messages. If you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat box and I can respond after this part. So why does it reduce inflammation is because our bodies have natural enzymes, and enzymes in the blood, it could also be in our immune system. And enzymes typically will digest proteins, digest carbs when you eat food. But when you don't eat food, certain enzymes in the body will digest proteins that are in your body that, again, is not needed, that is causing inflammation. So toxins, for example, or little clots, or even people who have fibroids, or things that are tumors, for example, cysts, for example, they could start to digest that because now you're using your enzymes for a different reason. And there are enzymes that people take as supplements. So, they're called nattokinase and serrapeptase. There's different kinds of protein enzymes as well to reduce inflammation. You might have heard of, pineapple, bromelain. People can combine that with turmeric to reduce inflammation. And it's really the same concept as those enzymes will eat up some of the inflammation, or whatever's causing that inflammation, to allow your body to heal. So when you're fasting, again, those enzymes can then be used for that reason. Also, I skipped another point that it could also help to improve blood pressure, because when you lower inflammation, you're going to lower your blood pressure. You can stabilize your cholesterol levels. So those are some benefits as well. Also, you can improve your brain function because you might think more clearer when you don't have the sugar spikes, when you're not, dealing with the sugar highs and lows, the fatigue, the cravings. Now you have the energy to, think a little bit more clearer. And honestly, the digestive system is like starting a fire in your house. Like, it really takes a lot of energy to start that fire. So it's tiring. People who are eating a big meal, they'll often be tired after because you're using a lot of resources. So when you fast, you might start noticing now you have so much more energy because you're not always igniting this fire during the day. The other thing also is that it helps with weight loss and boosts metabolism, because again, the insulin is now lowered. Always think about insulin as a hormone that is for storage. It takes the sugar, it tries to put it in your cells. And if your cells have enough, you have too much sugar, it's going to take that sugar and it's going to store it and put it away. So anyone who has belly fat, to lose fatty liver, they're going to want to also eliminate the production of insulin spikes. So reducing sugar, reducing carbs. And it also helps with increasing growth hormones. People who are fasting, it could trigger some growth hormones to come out, which will help when you exercise. It could help with your metabolism. And someone's asking, at what point does weight loss metabolism increase start after intermittent fasting? It could take us a couple of days. It could take up to a week. Usually you're going to start to notice when you're comfortable. So initially you may not feel that comfortable, but at some point you're going to feel clear-headed. You're going to feel the elimination of cravings. You're not even thinking about food. So at that point, you're going to start to see your body is actually operating more efficiently, and then you can start to see the results. Steps to get started. So I always tell people, when you want to start intermittent fasting, work with reducing your eating window by 1 hour. So note down, you could even do it right now. Note down, think about, when was your first bite of food this morning? Was that at 7, 8, 9, or maybe you didn't have your first bite yet? So note down when your first bite is, and then note down when you typically finish eating. You may be watching TV late at night and you might have your last bite of popcorn or whatever at midnight. But that would be your eating window. So if it's 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., that would be your eating window. So then tomorrow, aim to reduce that eating window by 1 hour. So that, let's say if you're doing 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., the next day would be 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then the third day you would go to 10 a.m. and your last bite would be 8 p.m. You could also shorten the evening. You can go from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., for example. But most people have trouble with late night eating. They have more trouble in the evening than they do have it in the morning for some reason. Maybe because you have more energy in the morning and you can be busy. You know, you're at work, you're doing things in the house, you're getting ready, you can drink your water, stay hydrated. But at night, people tend to get a little bit, idle. They're watching TV. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe they feel a bit lonely. Maybe they feel a bit, bored. And during those times, they're going to want to crave to eat food. And that typically is harder. But I can give you some tips on how to curb that in the evening. So continue just until you're comfortable, aiming for the 16-8. Here are some things that could help you during your fasting window when you're trying this and you want to succeed and do this for, let's say, a week. Let's say you want to continue doing this. So one thing is really to stay hydrated, because if not, you can start to get dizzy. You can start to get headaches. So drink lots of water. Carbonated water is still okay if you're not bloated from it. You can add sea salt or Celtic salt. These are unrefined salts that have trace minerals, and they will help you stay more hydrated and give you energy. So add a pinch of sea salt into the water, mix it. You can add a little bit of baking soda also. And those electrolytes will help you stay hydrated so that you don't feel, tired. Also, you can have unsweetened herbal teas like peppermint, ginger, chamomile, non-caffeinated teas during your fasting window. Some people need the caffeine, otherwise they get headaches, or they just, they enjoy the caffeine to wake up. So you could have plain tea or plain coffee without milk, without any additional reason to spike insulin. So that is if someone wants to be very strict. That is kind of the strict, ways to do fasting is you only can drink water, herbal teas, or a plain coffee, or, that's it. You don't add anything to it, because anything you add, even if it's artificial sweeteners, will mildly spike your insulin. But I know a lot of people that they need certain elements, like they need some more because they're hungry and they cannot fast if they don't have other things to give them energy. So I put on the bottom part of this screen things that can help you during your fasting window that won't really trigger insulin that much. There will be still a little spike, but it's not that significant, and it'll help you with easing into fasting. So one thing is broth, bouillon, this with salt in it. This is not sweet. It does have some protein elements, but it still will help you with energy, and it will keep you comfortable fasting longer. There's also infused water, like lemon water. There's also electrolyte powders that's sweetened with stevia. And sometimes you'll see that, it's good for ketogenic diets. So at least it doesn't spike insulin that much. So you can use those powders and put that in your water. It'll give you some energy. But if you're very, very strict, some people just do water. That's it during that fasting window. So you can play around with this and just see how your body responds, because otherwise some people will just give up. If they just are told, oh no, I just want to drink water, and they get a headache or they feel tired and they get dizzy, then they'll give up and they won't even try to, experience it a little bit more. So having those tools like broth, get boxes of chicken broth, organic beef broth, for example, and you can sip on it, or those electrolyte powders, that'll boost your energy, and you'll feel really good because you won't panic and think that, there's nothing else but water. So you have these little tools and snacks, liquid snacks on the side. Now, when you're in the eating window, it's also very important to eat healthy foods, not processed foods. So I put the Canadian Food Guide here. It's recommended that you eat fruits and vegetables, lean protein, and drink water. Also, just in case you're missing some nutrients, it would be a good idea to take a multivitamin during the eating window, because you are going to be missing out on your breakfast food, for example. So if you don't have time to put all your calories in that eating window, it would be a good idea to take a multivitamin, or even boost your nutrition using green powders. And they sell that even at Costco. There's super greens. You can add that into your water, or protein powder during the eating window, so that at least you won't be deficient in nutrients. Because if you're deficient, then you're going to start to feel weak. You may have other symptoms, like cravings, and you won't be able to sustain the intermittent fasting. So these are just some tips. Do you recommend a certain electrolyte powder? I really like the Sisu brand, SISU. It has B vitamins methylated, so it's easy to absorb the B vitamins. It also has magnesium, potassium, and 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. So I really like that brand of electrolyte. The ones that you see in the pharmacy, sometimes they'll have vitamin D in there, and they'll have soybean oil because it's fat-based. And I don't like seeing that soybean oil in there. So just read the ingredients. As long as it's there's no sugar in there, you can look at the list in the label. It says 0 sugar, then it won't spike your insulin. So stay hydrated. And some signs that are showing that you're pointing in the right direction is, oh, you're welcome, as if your appetite goes away. So let's say you're doing intermittent fasting, and next thing you know, it's noon. And you're like, oh, I feel good. I didn't even feel like I needed to eat. So that's actually a good sign. The ability to feel comfortable when you're not hungry, not always thinking of food. And it's good to ask yourself, am I hungry? Because if you're not, then you can, fast a little bit longer. If the food is no longer controlling you, so it might take a couple of days to get to the point where you're not really craving anything, and you're feeling more clear-headed, your mood is more balanced. So those are good signs. So here are some tips to prevent late night snacking, because that's really where people kind of extend their eating window, is during the night. It's a bit hard. So be prepared, have some herbal teas like cinnamon tea, ginger, peppermint, chamomile. Stay busy. You can read a book, take a hot bath, and when you have dinner, which is your last meal in the eating window, there is one thing you can do to give you more satisfaction that lasts you longer, and it's to add more fat at the end of your dinner. So you can have avocado, you can drizzle more olive oil, if you're having some vegetables, so that you're going to feel more satiated. You can have some nuts or seeds in your salad, adding that density with oil and protein. And also, if you do feel the cravings, you can have some apple cider vinegar in water during dinner, and that could regulate insulin, so you won't be craving something later in the evening. If you have a high carb dinner, you will have cravings in the evening, because your body will then again spike with insulin, and it's going to go to a little bit of a low of sugar, and then you're going to want to crave more sugar. So the trick is in the evening to go low carb for dinner. Or if you have some carbs, add some oil in it so that you have more satiation for longer. Also fiber, fiber has no calories. It doesn't spike insulin. So vegetables that are high fiber are really good to keep you feeling full, but not craving sugar. So like celery, greens, the cruciferous vegetables, large salads. So, maybe just increase your portions of vegetables at dinner and reduce the carbs. So that way you have more fiber, and you can add oil, that way it could last you longer into the evening. You could also have the salad at the beginning of the meal, protein and any fatty foods at the end. So having the fat at the end will keep you feeling full and give you that energy for longer. Also, here's a list of situations where intermittent fasting is not recommended. Number one, for children, for teens that are growing and developing their nervous system, their skeletal muscles, we don't recommend any kind of fasting. Women who are pregnant, breastfeeding also should not be fasting. If you've undergone surgery, or if you have any kind of injury, your body needs that nutrient to repair. It would not be a good idea to do that type of fasting. But you can talk to your health practitioner if there are some exceptions. But anyone with type 1 diabetes who take insulin, anyone who's malnourished, or have liver disease, because it could, affect the liver if you are changing your diet, and releasing fat, burning fat. So that does have an effect on the liver, the heart, the kidneys, and anyone who are on blood pressure medication, because again, doing this fasting can lower your blood pressure. So you should also consult your doctor about doing this type of fasting. If you have an eating disorder, fasting can cause an individual to, get worsened into any eating disorders. That's a risk. So don't really recommend that. Anybody with mental instability. So these are some areas where you would want to talk to your doctor. And of course, as you know, children, pregnant women, those are people who we don't recommend intermittent fasting for, and anyone who needs insulin, such as people with type 1 diabetes. Okay, so any questions here on intermittent fasting? Anyone who wants to share? Anyone want to try it after this? If you want to try, extending your eating hour a little bit later, going toward lunch, and then drinking during that time. That is really, I guess, the main pitfall is that people will feel a bit lightheaded. And so having electrolytes, that pinch of sea salt, staying hydrated, the B vitamins are also important because they're all water soluble. So the electrolyte powder that has the B vitamins, that could really help get you through the morning. And then, you can, day 2, day 3, you can then try to eat like 1 hour later. So, this is something you can journal as well. Make sure you put down the time that you ate. How did you feel before eating, after eating? And again, the type of food makes a difference, because if you have a lot of carbs, you're gonna have a harder time fasting because you're gonna be craving those carbs. Someone here says, I did ketogenic for 5+ years, lost 9 kilos in the first year, and then another kilo in year 2, then maintained for 3 years. And I got loosey-goosey with it and gained 1 or 2 kilos back. Yeah, it's, there's a lot of the ebbs and flows for sure when you're trying different types of, lifestyle options, diets. But yeah, some people do make it into a lifestyle, like they'll just do it on and off, like after the festivities, for example, they'll do the intermittent fasting for a week and maybe skip a day or 2 for the weekend. So on this next topic, it's a ketogenic diet. So who has also tried, other than the person who answered, ketogenic diet? I'd like to know what you think of it, because there's healthy ways to do it. And then there's also a way that's kind of unhealthy, like way too much oil and fats and fried foods and bacon and butter. So, there's ways where you can do it and get the result still, with healthy foods, without the constipation, without the bad body odor, because that can happen when you do ketogenic diet. I've actually done it after I gave birth to my first child. I had gained 50 pounds. And I tried this, and, it was very good. I actually lost 25 pounds in about 2.5 months, but I was very strict. And I remember reading about sugar being the kiss of death when you're doing this, because it'll knock you out of ketosis and you're going to have to start over pretty much. It takes about 24 to 48 hours to get back into ketosis. So even in a couple of sips of wine, you can get out of ketosis. So people who really want that kind of result can do it with like a lot of strict, restricted foods. But then once you understand how it works and how your body responds, you can be a little loosey-goosey. It's funny you say that, because then after I started adding some healthy carbs, and then on days that I feel like, wow, I'm a little bit like too indulging, I'm just going to spend the next week doing keto and low carb. So you can then play around with it. So basically the traditional way of the ketogenic diet is very focused on healthy fats. So 70%, which is a lot, like coconut oil, olive oil, avocados, meats with fats. And then you have 25% protein and 5% carbs. And even that 5%, we're really talking about like greens, broccoli, which has carbs in it. Like we're talking about, just vegetables or berries that have some carbs in it. We're not really going into rice or pasta or potatoes. So basically the ketogenic diet shifts your body from burning sugar to burning fat. And the way it does that is if you completely eliminate any consumption of sweets, sugar, or carbs, then your body needs that energy. It has no choice but to burn fat. And when the liver burns fat, it will break it down into ketones. Ketones are like glucose in a way for fuel. They're the lowest denominator of energy for fat. So ketones is an easy way for your body to burn. And you will see MCT oils, for example, medium chain triglycerides, and that's derived from coconut oil. So anyone who does keto, often they're told, you may want to try adding some MCT oil in your coffee, the bulletproof coffee. So the whole idea is that you're adding the ketones so your body will have the energy from the fat and not from sugar or carbs. So basically you're avoiding all sources of sweets, even honey, even maple syrup. A healthy way to do it is using good quality, nutritious vegetables, organic meats, because you are going to be eating, more fat from the meat, for example. So you want healthy animal source. You want to also avoid fried foods, rancid oils, because not all oils are the same. So especially in ketogenic diet, you're focusing more on the oils for your energy. You want it to be healthy oils. So avoiding, any rancid or high heat oils. And also you should have some raw foods, bitter greens, because that will help your liver process, let go of the fat, and really detox. So bitter greens are great for the liver, like arugula, rapini, bitter melons, using lemon juice on your salads to really break down those minerals. That will help you to avoid keto fatigue. Some people might have heard of keto fatigue, basically because you're now switching to burning ketones. When you burn ketones, some people may get like a fruity smell, a kind of I would say body odor, bad breath. That is possible. But if you support your liver, it could cleanse that, so having like a detox tea would be helpful. So I wanted to just take this moment to talk about insulin, because if you can visualize it this way, you may understand why ketogenic works so well. So insulin is a hormone that is secreted from the pancreas anytime there's sugar in your blood. And think of it as the sugar here is the box, is this white box, and the delivery guy is insulin. And this delivery guy presses the doorbell, and then you open it, you let the box in. So the delivery guy is the insulin. Insulin has the key, has the way to open up the cell and deliver the sugar into your cell. So you may hear this delivery guy every time you take a bite of food, anytime you're snacking or eating, this doorbell goes off, right? So that's the insulin spiking. But imagine it spikes like 50 times a day. So you're hearing this doorbell every minute, every 2 minutes, it's like, I don't care anymore. I'm tuned out. So you don't open the door. And what happens is that these boxes start to show up and just get plopped in front of you. And this is glucose that's not used, and it turns into fat. So that's the problem, is the whole term of insulin resistance means that your cells, they don't open the door anymore to insulin. They become resistant to it. And you don't want to have that appear, because if it appears for long, then it could develop into diabetes. It can develop into obesity. So avoiding that insulin resistance is key to getting rid of that excess fat. And this is the whole point of ketogenic diet, is to remove completely the box. The delivery guy is not needed anymore. Your body starts to get rid of those excess fat. And that is the goal. So hunger spikes will happen for people who are starting the ketogenic diet. You might get some cravings. Usually in the morning when the cortisol is higher to help you wake up, you might have a sudden desire to eat, but usually it will go away. It's a hunger hormone that is triggered by cortisol. So if you kind of ignore it, if you have water, lemon water, it could kind of subside. But if it doesn't subside and you're feeling dizzy, lightheaded, that's when you can start to snack. So you start to snack in the ketogenic diet. You can start to snack on nuts and seeds, avocado, celery, and you can drink broth and electrolyte drinks as well. Also adding MCT oil in your coffee, that could help you, give you more energy when you're doing the ketogenic diet. So in the evening, you can have some calming tea and add MCT oil. So nothing carby again at night. Adding some MCT oil or just having a teaspoon of coconut oil could just give you that energy without, again, spiking sugar. So I just want to take a moment to just talk about ketones in general. So coconut has more ketones, has more medium chain triglycerides that turn into ketones. And that's why it's often used during the keto diet. And people often will get MCT oil, which is concentrated, and it could give you the ketones that you need. Versus coconut oil, if you were to take a spoon, it has medium chain, but it also has long chain. So it's not as concentrated. Anyone here have tried bulletproof coffee or adding coconut oil into your coffee or tea, or even having it during the day when you're doing keto? This could also be a good way to kind of avoid constipation. Some people might experience that because they're not having the carbs, so their stool might not be as formed. But if you have, a spoon of coconut oil and you bulk it up with lots of fiber, that could help ease the symptoms of constipation when you're doing keto. So how do you know when you've reached ketosis? You can get these ketone strips in pharmacies. You can get it on Amazon as well. And basically, after you urinate, you can just dip it in and it'll show up with a color after about 40 seconds, 45 seconds. And you can see if your ketones are high in your urine. It'll tell you if you're now in ketosis, which means your body is burning fat. It's burning fat as fuel. And normally during the day, you want to aim for less than 50 grams of net carbs to stay in ketosis. So I'm just going to give you an idea. An apple has 25 grams of carbs, but it also has fiber. So the term net carbs mean you take carbs and you subtract the fiber. That's your net carbs. So an apple has about 4 grams of fiber. So the net carbs is 21 grams. So if you're wanting to stay under 50 grams, then you may not want to have, you may want to pay attention to the fruits and the types of food, and how much carbs it is. So in the beginning, you may want to calculate a little bit. And for example, in contrast, celery has 3 grams of carbs, 2 grams is fiber, which is a lot. And so in the net, it's just 1 gram of carbs. So that's why celery is a very popular snack when people, want to lose weight. It has a lot of fiber and a lot of water content as well. So foods to eat when you're on the keto diet are more fatty foods. So fatty fish, avocados, non-starchy vegetables. So does anybody here know the difference between starchy vegetables and non-starchy vegetables? The starchy vegetables are more dense. It's like the melons, the squash, the turnips, the beets, the potatoes, even sweet potatoes. They're all starchy. Whereas non-starchy are very fibrous. So like celery, very watery and fibrous. Cucumbers, for example. And so in the keto diet, people still can have unsweetened yogurt and cheeses, chia seed puddings, eggs, tofu. That's all, accepted in the keto diet. Things that are not accepted are sugary treats, any sweetener, any kind of starchy vegetables, like I said earlier, fruits that are high in sugar, like banana, for example. Most types of alcohol are not accepted, like red wine, beers. What is accepted are the very strong ones, like whiskey, for example. They barely have any sugar spike when you drink that, but still, we don't really recommend it. And processed foods in general. So those are foods to avoid. And people often ask me the question, what are some allowed fruits? Because fruits are so healthy, you don't want to give that up. So when you're doing the keto diet, in order to stay in ketosis, like I said, even an apple has 21 grams. And most people want to stay between 20 to 50 grams of carbs when they're staying in ketosis. So that's why apples are put in the avoid list, unless you just have like 2 slices in a smoothie with spinach and romaine lettuce and lemon. You could kind of play around with the carbs like that. But the fruits that are allowed are avocados, berries, strawberries, blackberries. So just listed it here for your reference. And There's some things to just pay attention to when you're doing the keto diet. Very often they call it the keto flu. You know, you have flu-like symptoms. Your body is burning fat. So what happens when you have fat is that you store toxins in the fat as well. So when you're burning the fat, there's an element of toxins that will come out into the bloodstream. That's why you're going to get a headache. Some people might get acne, bad breath, constipation. So to avoid that, make sure you have your electrolytes. I really recommend magnesium because that helps to relax your muscles. And it helps also to prevent headaches if you get enough electrolytes that have magnesium in it. B vitamins, they help with energy, and vitamin C, it's very good because it helps with any antioxidants that are required when you're detoxing. So fiber also to help with preventing constipation. And one thing to note is that some people might get a higher boost of cholesterol initially because, again, you're burning out fat. Your liver and your gallbladder is letting go of fat through the bile. So they might get a little spike of cholesterol. So what you could do is you could drink more green tea or bitter foods that help your liver produce bile so that it comes out and it doesn't stay in, the cholesterol that you're getting rid of. So those are the things to look out for. Having lots of green vegetables, bitter melons, that's really good for your liver. And I'm drawing to the end some additional support for your colon, liver, and kidneys that you can refer. I'm not promoting any of these products, but it's just an idea when you're doing keto to pay attention to supporting your colon and your liver because you're reducing certain foods that normally form stool. So you might have trouble with constipation, which then can back up and cause some toxicity in the body. So having these powders like chlorella, spirulina, these are blue-green algae that are very good, has a lot of vitamin B and minerals. It could support your liver. Cilantro, for example, could support your liver. Milk thistle tea, this dandelion tea. So you could just use that. They don't spike insulin. So you can drink that during the day. Probiotics and fiber, have that for your colon health. And then for your kidneys, because some people do tend to eat more protein, it could be hard on the kidneys. So have lemon water, good quality filtered water, and dandelion tea, which is a good tonic to, get rid of toxins. It's a diuretic. So I just put a couple of products here just for you to get an idea. And I included a sample keto meal plan in English and French. And it's just for those who are wondering what to eat. An example would be having eggs in the morning with some sauteed greens. So again, no carbs. And then having a patty, but no bread, just a patty with some cheese, mushrooms, avocado on some salad. Could be a lunch. Dinner could be pork chops with green beans sauteed in olive oil. So yeah, that's kind of the mentality. If you can visualize it, add variety of vegetables. Don't be afraid of adding vegetables. And you can look here to look at different meal plans. I included a link here from Healthline. And there are some vegetables, like I said, that you shouldn't have because it boosts insulin. Like even carrots, you'd have to minimize carrots because there's still some sugar in there. But green beans, romaine lettuce, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, those are all good for the liver and it doesn't interfere with ketosis. This is just an example of a meal plan. Again, fatty fish, so put salmon in there with some spinach. Just give it a good variety. And if you're worried that you're not getting enough nutrients, just add a multivitamin during the day. So if you have any questions about either one of these topics, intermittent fasting or the keto diet, let me know. If you need help, I also give private consultations if you want a more customized meal plan or more customized approach. And I do have an ebook here on gut health if you're interested in taking a look at that. I'm on social media under the handle BChamp Health if you want more tips on gut health.
Thank you so much, Cindy. That was really great.
Thanks, everyone. Wishing you all health and wellness.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cindy.
You too. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. It was awesome. Thank you.